What if I gave you $1 million but told you you had to take on $1 million of debt to keep it? Would you? Most people wouldn't, but the rich, they have a grin and ask for 10 million more. Because here's the truth that's uncomfortable. The rich don't tolerate debt, they weaponize it. And right now that strategy is going digital because the ultra wealthy are starting to combine leverage with Bitcoin. Meanwhile, most people are terrified of both. Terrified of debt, terrified of Bitcoin, terrified of losing what little they have. And that fear is what's keeping them exactly where the system wants them. Trapped. So in this video, I'll show you why the rich use debt to build empires, how Bitcoin fits into the new financial strategy, and why wealth inequality is exploding like never before. Well, the rules get rewritten behind your back. If you don't understand this, you won't just fall behind. You won't even see what you're missing. Let's start with the basics. Why does the average person fear debt? Because debt for most people looks like pain. Credit cards, car loans, student debt, payday traps, it's the stuff that keeps people awake at night. You borrow a little to survive and then spend years paying back double. The interest kills you. The pressure wrecks your mental health. So you grow up hearing that is evil. Live within your means. Cut up the credit cards. But what if I told you that wealthy were taught the opposite? Because the rich aren't scared of debt. They love it when used right. And now some of them are using even Bitcoin-backed debt to stay tax-free. The rich use debt like a sword. They're trained to wield it. And here's how. They use debt to buy assets. They don't borrow to consume. They borrow to own. Real estate, businesses, intellectual property, and yes, even Bitcoin. Because right now you can borrow against your BTC even without selling it. Imagine this, you hold $1 million in Bitcoin. Instead of selling and triggering taxes, you take a loan against it. 5%, maybe 6%, and you live off the loan. Your Bitcoin stays untouched, hopefully appreciating, and you pay zero capital gains tax. It's the same principle they're using with real estate for decades, and now it's happening in crypto. 2. They borrow at lower interest rates to earn higher returns. If you borrow at 4% and earn 10%, that spread is profit. And guess what? The rich get the best terms. They borrow cheap because they are seen as low risk. And they use that borrowed money to invest in assets that inflate away their debt. Bitcoin is a perfect example. It's scarce, it's global, and over time it tends to rise as fiat loses value. Now imagine this, borrow dollar at 5%, buy Bitcoin that appreciates at 20% a year, pay back the debt with weaker dollars and keep the upside. It's not just a trade, it's a system hack. Let's look at how the wealthy do this in real life and how Bitcoin is entering the mix. Starting off, Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. Saylor didn't just buy Bitcoin with company cash. He issued corporate debt in the form of convertible notes and used the proceeds to buy billions in BTC. The move was controversial. Critics said he was gambling. But look at the results. As Bitcoin rises, his company gains leverage without dilution and with debt that's cheaper in real term over time. The second example is the use of buy, borrow, die, the billionaire blueprint. The wealthy don't sell assets, they borrow against them. Instead of paying capital gains, they buy appreciating assets like real estate or Bitcoin, borrow against those holdings, live off the loan proceeds, and die and pass on the assets with stepped up cost basis. No tax, no sale, no loss of control. And now that crypto loans are a reality on platforms like Ledin or even through institutional custody, that strategy is spreading. So why doesn't everyone use this strategy? Because the system wasn't built for you to win. Let me break it down. 1. The rich get the best terms. The wealthy are credit worthy. They get low interest rates, flexible terms, access to private lending markets. If you miss a credit card payment, your score tanks and you pay potentially 28%. That's not debt as a tool, that's debt as a punishment. 2. Regulations protect institutions, not you. Try taking a loan against your salary. It's very difficult, but hold millions in stock, you can borrow instantly. Now add Bitcoin into the mix. The second you hold enough BTC on a custodial platform, they let you borrow against it. You're not a person anymore, you're a balance sheet. The rules don't reward effort, they reward assets. And if you don't own assets, the rules don't care about you. Let's talk about the monster in the room. Wealth inequality is exploding, and that is the fuel. Used wisely, that is a ladder. Used poorly, it's a trap. And Bitcoin, it's becoming the new ladder, but only for those who see it in time. As fiat currency loses value, the rich are borrowing more of it to buy scarce assets, like Bitcoin and real estate. They know if you borrow in a melting currency and buy something scarce, you win twice. You gain asset appreciation, you repay with cheaper dollars. The average person, meanwhile, is paying off student loans, watching rent rise, trying to save in dollars while inflation eats it all. It's not wealth building, it's economic survival. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin as the new collateral. This is where things get scary smart. The wealthy are using Bitcoin as collateral, just like they've done with real estate and stocks. They don't need to sell it. They borrow against it. They defer taxes. They buy more assets, and the cycle continues. Meanwhile, the average person is told Bitcoin is risky or volatile. Yes, Bitcoin fluctuates, but the risk isn't the asset. The risk is not understanding how to use it. So, can you play the same game? The answer, in my opinion, yes, but you must be educated, disciplined, and strategic. Here's how. Only use debt for productive assets. Never borrow to consume. Only borrow to invest in things that will grow in value, generate income, beat the interest rate. Real estate, a small business, Bitcoin, if you know what you're doing. These are all great examples. Now, understand volatility and risk. Borrowing against Bitcoin can be dangerous if you don't plan for drawdowns. If BTC drops 40%, your collateral might be liquidated. So protect yourself. Never borrow the full value. Use loan to value LTV ratios. Keep your cash on hand to top up during volatility. Now 3. Start small. Build the playbook. Don't try to mimic billionaires overnight. Instead, think like this. Can I use small BTC backed up loans to free up fiat without selling? Can I buy an asset that pays more than the interest? Can I learn the system before scaling? You're building financial muscles. You start with light weights, then stack. Here's the truth you were never told. The game isn't fair, but you can still learn how to play it. You were taught to fear debt, to fear volatility, to fear Bitcoin. But fear is expensive. Meanwhile, the rich learned how to borrow wisely, acquire assets, and use Bitcoin not just as an investment, but as leverage. The rules were always hidden, but now they are being rewritten in real time, and crypto is part of the new playbook. This is your chance to learn what was only taught in boardrooms and private wealth meetings. Debt isn't evil, it's neutral. Just like fire, it can burn you or cook your food. And Bitcoin, it's not just an asset, it's becoming the foundation of a new financial system. The rich are already using debt plus Bitcoin to unlock tax-free liquidity, buy more assets, and preserve wealth long term. You can stay scared or start studying because this new world doesn't care if you are ready. It's already moving.